Hey everyone, thanks for joining me here for week 4 of my 1 hour free hands-on AWS training session. I'm actually re-recording this video because the actual session that I had on Sunday, for those that were on that session, for some reason the recording just did not work. There were some issues with Google Meet, but I'm changing that link to Zoom sometime this week. So if you're going to be joining me for the 1 hour free session on this coming Sunday, let me give you the exact date actually. What is the exact date here? This coming Sunday, December 6th. Right, if you're going to be joining me for that, just note that the Google Meet link will change to a Zoom link. I'm moving away from using Google Meet to using Zoom, as I just prefer that much more than the Google Meet. There's been a couple of issues, a couple of times with the Google Meet. If you were on that call, you understand. So for some reason, that recording also did not get saved. So let's just get to it. This is gonna be shorter because of course I'm not answering questions in the chat and all that. So what we discussed, if you missed the week 4 session, was we talked about versioning in AWS, and we also talked about taking a code, right, that developers have given you as the cloud engineer, as solutions architect, take a code and put it on an actual server. Okay, so those are the two things we did last week, and those are the things I want to show you now in this video. If you were not able to join that session, or if you wanted to like go back and revisit what we did and have a video, recording of that, so you can go back to it when you need. So let's just get right to it. Make sure you're already in the console. Okay, we're gonna go to S3 now, and we're gonna create what we call versioning. So briefly, there are two things you want to do with S3 versioning, right? Let's say, for example, your company has critical data, right, in an S3 bucket, right? If you don't understand these terminologies, please make sure if you're watching this video now that you've seen the previous weeks. Okay, we haven't gone far. There's only been 3 recordings so far, so make sure you watch those before you continue to join me in this free 1 hour sessions on Sundays. So with that said, we have an S3 bucket, right? You have a file in there. Someone within your company went and modified that file, right? The same file, the same name. Let me see here. Use my whiteboard here. So the same file, right? The same file. Let's say you have that file is called, test, right? Test file. Okay, whatever name you give that file, and then now you put this file inside of S3, right? Now another person comes, this same file, they have access to this S3, this same file. They went, let's say the file contains the numbers 11111, right? They went in and they changed this file. They added some other new numbers, right? Let's expand this. They added some other new numbers to the file, to the same file. Let's just say it's just a text file. So they added the number 2222, right? Just to get an idea of what we're saying here. We're trying to explain here. Now that they've modified this file, they shouldn't have done that, right? And you want to revert back to just this file, right? The file that had the 11111, right? You don't know why they added this. They shouldn't have added this. So in essence, what we're saying is, if someone overwrites a file, right? If someone alters a file, right? Versioning will allow you what? Have multiple versions of this file, okay? So that you can go back to each individual version and recover that file, okay? Now, the second thing versioning is used for is, what if they actually deleted this file? They didn't overwrite, they deleted, right? So versioning will allow you go and bring back that file. When you delete a file in S3 that has, if you delete a file in a bucket, okay, in an S3 bucket that has versioning turned on, right, you get these protective features, right? One is the overwriting one, where you can go back to its individual version of that file. And the other one is what? When let's say they deleted the file, right? Let's say this is the file. Let me just put another one here, right? They deleted the file that you had. Now, a delete marker will be placed on this file. What we call a delete marker a delete mark. Don't mind my writing. A delete marker will be placed on this file, right? So now everyone's thinking, oh, we mistakenly deleted this file. The file is gone. But no, as a cloud engineer, you already, your company, you already knew from the get-go that, you discussed with your team, yes, you wanted versioning turned on. Yes, the cost will be high if you have versioning turned on, but think about what you'd be able to do when you have versioning turned on, right? Yes, it's going to have multiple copies of that file. That means you're going to be paying more for the storage, right? But again, we're not talking about, huge costs here. But just keep that in mind. Keep that cost in mind, because these are, double of what you have in there, or triple. So now with this, the file is not deleted. The delete marker is placed. If you go to the versioning view, I'll show you guys in the console. Don't worry about that now. If you go to the versioning view, there's a button in the console to hide these version files and to show them. And just show like your current file that you're working with, not the versioned ones. So once you click that versioning page, you'll be able to see a delete marker for that file that was recently deleted. Now when you delete, so delete marker you see on that file. Now when you delete a delete marker, it'll put this file back in your normal console. So there's a normal console where your buckets are showing, your files are showing, your files in your bucket are showing. And there's a when you click that toggle, that will show the versioning, the versioned objects or files that you have in your bucket. So it's the same bucket, okay? It's the same bucket, and you just have a toggle in there to say, show me just my latest copy of the files, or show me the version, the file and the version copies. Okay, so in here, if someone deletes a file in here, and you come in here, you're going to see that delete marker. You can delete that delete marker. If you delete a delete marker, it'll put the file back in place. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind. If you delete a delete marker from the version view, that means you want to replace that file that was originally deleted. Okay, I know that might be confusing for some of you, but hopefully it'll make more sense when we get in the console. All right, so let's just go to the console so we can see all of this and it makes more sense. All right, so I'm going to go to S3 here. I'm going to go to S3. I'm going to go to S3. So this was the bucket from the last class. So let's go ahead and create a new bucket. Okay, let's go ahead and create a new bucket. I'm going to call this versioning MKMK. Remember bucket names have to be unique across, right? And we're going to choose Northern Virginia region. So nobody in the world must have to use this bucket name for me to be able to use it. I'm hoping no one in the world has used it. So remember, bucket names must be unique across the globe, across all AWS accounts. All right. So here I'm going to click keep this block all public access. And next thing I want to do here is, here's the main thing we're looking for. So I'm just going to click on enable. What else? Tags. I don't want to do tags. Server-side encryption. Enable encryption. Remember, as a rule of thumb, just make sure you allow some form of encryption, especially if it's confidential data. If your company doesn't want to do all the hassle of managing their own keys, that, at least choose S3 SSE S3. Okay, so those files are encrypted. So advanced settings, object lock. I think I briefly talked about that in the last class. So we're not gonna do that. If we want to delete this object, we don't want an option where we write once and we read many. Okay, again, I'm not gonna go too deep into that. Please open a new tab on your browser and just read about object lock. Right, it's about locking an object to say that you don't want to be able to delete it or overwrite it over a long period of time, right? So it's a fairly new feature, not too long ago. I haven't really worked with that a lot. So think about like if you work in highly regulated industries, right? So in that case, maybe they want if you have put an object there for auditing purposes, not even the root account user, right, should be able to modify that object after it has been put in this bucket. We don't want that for this. Again, if you are in a highly regulated area and there's a need for that, after you read about it more, that's just a brief summary of what it is. If you read more about it, you can see maybe it's something that, you know, your company might want in the future, and then you already know about it. So that's all that we're gonna do for that. Okay, version MKMK, we choose Northern Virginia region and all that. So we're gonna now create bucket. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Yep, nobody has taken that bucket name in the world. Awesome. All right, so now we have that bucket. Now let's put a file in there. Okay, as usual, as I've told you guys, if you're just watching this video for the first time, I'm hoping you've watched the previous weeks. Make sure you have a folder on your desktop. Okay, have a folder on your desktop, and don't worry about these other files that I have in here. Actually, this, let me delete it because we're going to do this now. Okay, this was from the last class. Right now, you should have at least this file right here. And this, let me also delete this. This is also from the Sunday session that did not get recorded, that I'm re-recording now. All right, so when you, in your desktop, for this Sunday session, 1 hour Sunday sessions, have a folder where you're gonna put like all of the files that I'm gonna give you guys sometimes, okay? Now in this, don't worry about this, my file set. This is my own personal stuff here that I'm using for part of these sessions. But what I want you to have in this folder now is just these source code examples. We're going to imagine that this folder right here, we're going to come to this later on when we talk about, you know, the uploading of the application code to an EC2 server. Here we're going to be dropping we're going to assume our developers are giving us code, right? When they finish building their web application of their websites, they give us a bunch of files, and those bunch of files are what we put on the server if it's a dynamic website, or what we put in S3 static website or hosting if it's a static website, right? If it's not a dynamic website. We talked about all of those in last class. So here now, I want us to create in this folder right here that you have, create a text document. Okay, it could be any text document, right? Let's just say test. Let me call this. Let me call this test file. I'll just say test, right? Now let me open it and let me put what we actually want in this file, right? 11111. Okay, you can put anything. I'm gonna save that. Control S in Windows, as I'm using Windows. Now what I want to do now is I want to put that file in that bucket that we just created, right? The version in MK. Again, you remember, you don't have to call this bucket version MK. We're just using it to know what we're trying to do in this lab. Okay, and remember, buckets can have unlimited amount of data. All right, so so in this bucket right here, let's just drop the file. Let's grab the file and drop it in there. Okay. Okay. Now we have the bucket in there. Now we have the file in there. Okay, now we have the file in there. It's uploaded. It's not uploaded yet. We need to click on upload. Storage class, standard. Choose standard. If you're gonna be taking the Solutions Architect Associate certification, which I recommend. You know, let's take that as your first certification. And these Sunday sessions, at least for the next couple of weeks, all of the things we're going to be learning are going to be important to passing that exam. Okay, I'm not saying this is like, use this as the only resource for studying and passing that exam, but joining these 1 hour sessions or watching the recorded YouTube videos, you know, and what we discuss here, and remember, especially these sessions are for, you know, hands-on, right? So you actually do something and you can say that you have done hands-on and put that on your resume. But not to go too far from the topic of the day. This you should try to know, okay? What we mean by intelligent tiering. You know, with this, AWS S3 will help you determine where to put that, you know, what tier, you know, that object should be. Is it an object that you don't, is it if I say object, remember that also means files. Is it a file or an object that you don't access frequently? Then maybe you should use one, then you should, and it's not critical, then maybe you should use one zone, right? Whereby the data will not be replicated across 3 availability zones, okay? In essence, this one is the standard one you should choose, right? When you're uploading objects, unless you know that, you know, it's data that is not critical or infrequently accessed, then you choose this. If it's frequently accessed, non-critical, then you use this. If it's, if you don't know, you know, if you're gonna access that data quite often or not, most people are actually choosing this these days, right? Intelligent tiering. Let it decide for you, right? You're not sure. You just created that file today. You're not sure if you're going to be accessing that frequently or not. Let it help you, with maybe trying to help you save costs on that, right? Maybe you shouldn't put it in standard. It should be in infrequently accessed. Choosing this intelligent tiering will help you put that file or that object, as we say here on AWS, as in that tier that's that it should be in. Again, if you have Glacier or Glacier DB archive, think about archive data. Okay, data that you have for 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you just want some type of cloud archive storage, you would want to use this. Okay. What else? Yeah, you use default encryption bucket settings. Yep, use that. Bucket ACLs. I believe I may have forgotten to share this in the actual live class where I taught this last weekend, but didn't get recorded. Read this documentation, right? I know IAM policies and bucket policies and ACLs can be confusing, right? And this article right here, I'll put it in the description of this video, all of these links, right? I think it's very important for everyone learning, AWS and specifically learn about S3 to read this article so you can have some, high level understanding, right, of the differences between bucket policies, IAM policies, and access control lists. I know it could get a little, is intimidating the right word? Confusing. So just read this blog post. I'll put it in the description for you guys. Okay. What else? Object lock. No, we said no already. Tags. No. So let me just go ahead and upload. The information will no longer be available after. So the file has been uploaded. I'm gonna exit. Click on exit on the top left there. Okay. So now you see this is the file, right? This is the file. Now let us go ahead and overwrite the file, and then upload it again. Okay, let's go ahead. Now this is the file, right? We've uploaded the file. Okay, we've uploaded the file. Let us go ahead now. If you want to be able to view the file, you have to do one thing first. Okay, you have to do one thing first. You have to open the file. If you want to be able to view that file in the browser, which I think we should do, here's the link, right? Let's say you have someone that you want to show this file. Here's the link that you would go to. Let me open a new browser here and drag this all the way over. I'm gonna paste that. Okay, let's say you want to show someone the file. Of course, access denied because we didn't allow we didn't uncheck the block public access settings on this bucket. So if we go back to the bucket by clicking that link, properties, where is it? Permissions. So we need to remove this so we can make it publicly viewable. Don't do this if you don't have to, but just for learning purposes, I can always download the file and see that it's the file that I want, but I just want us to be able to do it in the browser as well, right? To see that file without having to download first and then see, is it the one we're looking for or not? All right, so I'm going to click on edit here, and I'm going to uncheck this. Again, this is not usually recommended. Okay, never leave your this settings unchecked unless you really have to. Maybe because this bucket is something that's going to be public for a public website or something like that, and all of the contents in this bucket, your company does not mind it being public. Okay, so I'm going to save changes here. It says confirm. I'm going to confirm. I'm going to click on confirm. Okay, so let's go back to objects that are in this bucket. Okay, let's just go to I still have it opened. Refresh. It's still going to be that. Why? These are all learning sessions. This should be learning moments for all of you, right? As you can see, after I unchecked that, I refreshed. It still did not work. What's happening? I need to make this object public. So check that object, click on actions, and then go ahead and make public. Okay. And then it says when public with access, anyone in the world can access the specified objects. Yes, that's fine. Make public. Okay, now what if I refresh? Okay, very good. Now we can see that file, right? We don't have to download it and open with our text editor on our computers, right? We just want to be able to quickly see if it's what we want. Okay, of course, knowing that this is just a demo session. All right. So now let's that's done. Now let me click on exit here to go back to the main bucket. Okay, now we're back in the main bucket. Let's go back to the objects page. Okay, so now let's overwrite the file and upload it again. Let's do that real quick. Okay, so let's open the file on our computer. Let's say someone has added these numbers, all right, and we never wanted this person to add these numbers. Okay, so Control S that, save that, and then now let's upload it again. Okay, let's upload it again. So go ahead and click on standard, leave everything else as default, upload. Okay, succeeded, exit. And if you notice now, if you actually rewind the video, you would notice the first time we uploaded that file with the 111 only, it was about 5 bytes, I believe. And now that we've altered this file, now we're seeing what? 12 bytes, right? And now your company says we did not want that to happen, right? We want to go back to the previous version. Here's the versions I've been talking about, right? So when I click on this now, you see, I can see the multiple versions of the file. Okay, so if this is the one you wanted, 5 bytes, then go ahead and download it and say, here, we can have the file back. Okay, you go ahead and you download that. Or if you uncheck this, you're only going to be seeing the latest version of that object. Okay, so if someone overwrites, you need to get the previous version. Go ahead and check that and then download that first file. If you look at this one, this is the latest. Okay, if you want to view this, you would have to make it public as well, and then you can view it. And then you can view. Let's just go view it to make sure to see that it's actually the one that we wanted. So let me exit here. So if we click on this file, if we get the link, copy the link. If you copy the link and you paste it, this should have the 2222. Yeah, there you go. Right, you see that? Because that's the latest one. But again, we didn't want that. We wanted, the previous version. Okay, the one that had the 11111. So you get the idea here. If you have versioning enabled in the bucket, just come to versions and find that previous version that had whatever thing that was in there before that person made that change that was not wanted there. All right, now the second part is deleting, right? Let's say, for example, this person has gone ahead and they mistakenly deleted this file. Let's look at that. They mistakenly deleted the file. Mistakenly deleted the file. Okay, successfully deleted, exit. And here, wow, the file is gone, right? I know you guys already know, right? How do we get that file back? Let's go ahead and click on list versions, right? I told you it's not deleted. It places a delete marker on it. Okay, it places a delete marker on there. So how do we recover this file back? Just click on this and say delete. I know it's weird. I know, right? If you delete the delete marker, it will put the file back in your normal view. Okay, when I say normal view, I mean when this is on the other side where it's not on the list version part. Okay, let's just go ahead and delete. Delete. It says to type permanently delete, but don't believe this permanently delete thing here. Okay, permanently delete. Remember, this is for the delete marker. Okay, so delete. Successfully deleted, exit. Now look, right, that delete marker is gone. The delete marker is gone. Now let's uncheck this. Your file is back. Okay, your file is back. And of course, it'll be the latest version that you had in there. Okay, it'll be the latest version. Okay, now some of you might say, but what if we actually want to permanently delete? Then you want to do that here, right? You want to do that here, right? You can permanently delete here. Let's try to permanently delete this. the latest version, type permanently delete. Can I just copy that from here? Yeah, delete objects. So we're deleting the latest version. Let's click on exit. Okay, as you can see, we still have showing the list versions. We'll still have our very first version. All we did was deleted the current version. Now, what if we go back to that page? Now we have this, right? And that's what we have left in the versions page. Okay, that's what we have left in the versions page. 5 bytes, 5 bytes. Okay, why? Because we came here and we deleted the latest one that was 12 bytes, and that was no longer what's going to be visible here because it's permanently gone, right? So that's how you permanently delete something if you actually want to delete it. Please try to understand that delete marker part where we talked about. If you need to rewind, go back in the video and try to watch that again. I don't want to make these videos too long. The next thing I want to do now, I hope you guys understood that concept of S3 versioning. The next thing now is to talk about how we can take a code, right? We're going to assume that our developers are giving us they're giving us now a dynamic code. Okay, a dynamic. When I say dynamic, it's a website that everyone can log into. Right now, we talked about all of that last week. You all should be comfortable about static or dynamic websites, right? When they throw that at you, you should know what that is at this point, right? So now we're going to assume dynamic website, and we said for dynamic website, at least for now, for you guys, if you've heard of serverless before, if you heard of microservices and all that, great. But most companies, they're not there yet. Okay, so this is something that's actually very critical for you as a solutions architect or a cloud engineer to be aware of, right? Now, when you have a web application that is dynamic in nature, meaning people can log into it and all that, you need a server. Okay, you need a server, an actual server, and that's where EC2 comes in the picture. Okay, so now what I want to do is, please remember to always delete everything we do in these sessions. Okay, so I recommend you can delete this bucket for now. If you leave it, I mean, you're still within the free tier. I believe you get 30 gigabytes every month. But delete them just so you don't leave them there. Forget them, all that. You can go ahead and delete this bucket. Now we're gonna create another bucket though, right? We're gonna create another bucket, and we're gonna put the code that the developers have given us to hold for the company's dynamic website. Okay, so what does that look like? Let's give credit to this place where I get this free codes. Right now, this is what the dynamic website looks like. Of course, there's no login button in here, but just as an example, okay? And in the coming sessions, I will do actually a video with using a full one that actually connects to a database. Okay, but for now, imagine that this is a website, a dynamic website that connects to a backend database. Although we're not going to be launching a database now and all that, we'll talk about those in the future. Assume, guys, imagine that this is going to be a dynamic website. There's a login button here and people can log in, right? I've already downloaded the code, and this would be like the files, right, that the developers have put together that will make up this website right here. Okay, that will make up this website right here. All right, so I've downloaded that and I put that in here, in this folder right here. Okay, so the link to this folder where I'll be dropping some of these files for this class, you guys will have it in the description of this video. So look in the description and then go into this. This is what we want for now. Okay, so let's go ahead. You can right click here in the drive, right? Site on EC2. I named this site on EC2. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to download that. Okay, and Google will zip it and we'll unzip and put it in our source codes folder on our own computer. All right, so the file has been downloaded. So here it is. It has been downloaded. Let me show in folder. Now I'm going to extract it. I'm just going to extract it here and then copy it to that folder we should have created for the class. Okay. So I'm going to extract all. Okay, you guys cannot see the screen, but let me bring it here. I'm going to extract all, and I am going to extract. extracting. Okay, so this is the actual folder, right, that our developers have given us, right? They said all the codes that will make this website, be this, right? Let me launch a preview so you guys can see what it should look like. Okay, so all of that information that will make all of the code that they've written that will make this page, come to life, it's all in that folder. So we have to make sure that all of those files, everything, not missing anything, right, we put it on a server. All right. So where is it? So this is the file. Okay, I'm going to copy this file, Control X this file, and bring it into that folder that I said you all should create on your desktop, where you're putting all of these class files in. Okay, so this is every source code example we're going to use in this class. We're going to put it in this place. So for the static website for last class, we put that in there, and now we're just going to paste that one that we just got. Okay, for site on EC2. So this is what it looks like. So they did some CSS, they did some Java. We're assuming now that, and these are our developers, they wrote some things in CSS, in JavaScript, in the assets folder for the probably images and all that. And then the index that you would always have in a web application or on a website. So all of this now, we want to put them in S3. Okay, as most companies do today, they store their source code in GitHub, and some store it in S3. Okay, if you're doing things like CI/CD and all that, you're probably using things like GitHub and AWS Code Commit. For you guys that are still learning, just learn these things, don't worry about GitHub and Code Commit. If you know that, great. But for now, we want to just take these codes and put them in S3. Sometimes it could be that your developers have already put it on S3 and they told you, hey, the code is in this S3 bucket. Great. But here, something to learn as well. Now let's just take it. Let's say it was on a file share on the company's network. So we need to take the code and put it on S3, and then from S3 we can, load it into the EC2s we want. We can just use the copy command in S3 to copy those into our EC2 servers. So what I want you guys to go do now is go to S3. Let's go ahead and create a bucket. Okay, let's call this site on EC2. Let's call it dynamic site, right? Dynamic web app. Okay, dynamic web app. I'm thinking someone in the world might have taken this name before. Let me just add my initials. Okay, MK. Let me add that to it. Northern Virginia, yes, is what we want. Block, yes, yeah, let's leave that. This is not something we want to be public. Bucket versioning, let's not enable. Encryption, remember, doesn't hurt to choose this. Okay, so always try to choose that. No, we don't want that. Create bucket. Okay, very good. Bucket is being created. Let me open the bucket. Okay, now let me grab the code. Now let's copy all of these files. Okay, for this from in this folder. All of these files that will make up this website for us. Let's go ahead and drag them in here. Okay, let's drag them in there. All right. So you see they're recommending here, we recommend that you enable bucket versioning to help protect against unintentional overwriting or deleting of objects. Yes, of course it's recommended. Okay, so just in case something like that happens, as I've discussed earlier, you guys can easily go back to previous versions, but we don't really need it in this lab, so we're not going to enable bucket versioning. Let's leave that as standard. Server-side encryption, use default. Yeah. Bucket ACLs, I told you guys about this article. I really want you to read that discusses more about that. This 1 hour Sunday sessions, it's not to go deep into like this type of topics. I touch on them, but nothing to but I'll bring this recommendation once in a while, right? Read this article, read the article. Please remember, whatever I share with you in these sessions, just please read them. It'll make you a better solutions architect, a better cloud engineer. Okay. So object lock, no. Tags, no. Upload. I'm just going to click on upload. Okay, so it's uploading all of those files. And don't worry, you might be thinking we have only, let me close this. You might be thinking we have only 4 files in here. Why is it showing all of this? The thing is, it says expanding all of this, right, and showing all that to you here. Okay, but don't worry about that. Let that finish. So that's completed. Click on exit on the top right here. Okay, and then you see those 4 folders and files here. Okay, in the objects page of this. All right, cool. Now we have this in here. Okay, now the work is not done here. This is not a static website. If this was a static website, we're just going to go ahead and enable static website hosting, right? Remember we did that last week. We can just go down here under that and just enable this, because AWS S3 actually, it's a cool feature. It allows us to host static websites, which I recommend you do if you are looking to host static websites, and don't use EC2 servers for that. Dynamic web applications and websites, then yes, EC2, which is what we want to do now. So now we're just storing the code in S3, right? This is not a static website. We're not going to use S3's static website hosting feature, right? It's not a static website. It's something that is we're assuming now, right? It's dynamic, okay, just for the sake of the lab, right? Although it's not truly dynamic website. Just an example, you guys understand why that. Okay, where was I? Objects. So let's go back to objects. Okay, again, we've stored these files in here. Now I want to go to my whiteboard. Okay, I think this is a great session for whiteboarding. Let me close this. I know. Okay, I think I must have done that twice. So I think I can also close this links right now as well, and I can close this as well, just to keep this a little neat. So we have the code here for our web application. Now everybody's looking at you now. You're the solutions architect, you're the cloud engineer. Get this dynamic application live. Okay, put it on a server on AWS. Let's just see if if AWS is going to hold true to their promise that we can host this on an EC2 instance. Of course, I just said that for, yeah, of course, it's going to work. All right, so now let me clear this. Let me clear this board. One thing I want you guys to know before you start EC2, right? Think of this as virtual machines. Okay. I don't want to sound so elementary. I know there are some advanced people that are watching these videos, but please pardon me for just trying to illustrate here, and I'm trying to do this because there are a lot of people that are watching these videos. After watching several other videos, things are still a little bit confusing for them. How this actually relate in real life. So I'll try to use these diagrams to kind of like show you what we're looking at, right, when we're trying to do things like this, like host a dynamic web application on an actual server. So think of these servers as computers, right, with faster memory, CPU, thing like that, because these computers, people from all over the world, right? When you hear about servers, right? Servers, one thing that always helps me is servers to serve the public. Okay, so in AWS, when you have a server, think about this: that you want to put a website on that server, right? You want to put a website on that server that people from the world can visit. Right, so one machine and people from the world, you give them your website, www.yourwebsite.com, and that will bring them to that server. Okay, and they will be able to see your website on that server. So a couple of things that you want to take care of first. Okay, first is look at this. Now let's assume this is the server. Okay, think of this as your computer, Windows computer, a Mac. It's just a computer as well, right? But we call them servers. Okay, but they're more powerful, right? Because they have, more work to do. And they also have hard drives, like your computer has hard drives, right? But in this case, in AWS, these servers, instead of hard drives, we call them EBS volumes. Okay, look at them as these hard drives are the storage. Just like your computer that you're using right now to watch this video has a hard drive for storage, these servers as well need storage. Now, in this server, remember, we want to put the code that our developers give us, right? All of those files, all of those four files and folders, right? Let's see here. All of these files right here, it is your task now to put it on a server so that the entire world can see the website, the web application that your company is about to launch. Okay? So now you bring all of those files in here, right? you put all of those files in a folder created by a software that is popularly used for hosting these web applications. I know some of you might already be saying the name. Yes, Apache. Okay, so when you launch this server on AWS, let me put the name here. I'm going to use these names interchangeably, right? EC2. It's okay. You can say VM if you want. I don't want to confuse you guys too much. It's okay if you think of them as VMs. That's fine. Okay. So I'm going to use these words interchangeably, especially EC2 and machines. Okay. When I say machines, I'm referring to EC2. Okay. EC2 machines, and another name I'll probably use is instance. Okay. Is instance. Okay. So all of this, I mean the same thing. All right. So let's not get too confused about that. I mean literally this server right here. Okay. So now these are the files, right, that will make up that web application. In this server, you have to install Apache. Okay. Apache will give you a folder. And if you guys remember, I believe in the first week or the second week, I mentioned in my article, right? I put a link in this article right here. That you all should try to learn Linux, right? Just take some time, take a day off, watch that 7-hour video that I put in this article right here for Linux. You don't have to go take an expensive boot camp or anything like that. I've never taken those. Just playing with this Linux instances, and and then just watching that Linux video that I put in this video, in this article, to get you familiar with Linux, to learn cloud and to learn DevOps and all that. You really, I must say, having working in the industry, right, that you should take some time to learn how to use the Linux operating system, right? The terminal, right? You guys have terminal on Mac OS. On Linux, there's also a GUI interface, but use the terminal more, right? When I say terminal, where you're going to type commands to do what you want on the computer, and not like just clicking buttons here and there, right? So you install Apache, right? Apache will give you a folder, and that folder is in this directory. If you know some Linux, you know what I mean by a directory. A directory is just a folder, right? A folder on your computer, just like you have a folder on your computer and you can have a folder within a folder. This will create a structure, right? When you install Apache, it'll provide this structure for you, var www HTML. Okay, to get the job done, all of these files right here, guys, are you following? All of these files right here need to be in this folder right here, need to be in this HTML folder. All of these files right here that we've already put in S3, we're gonna copy from S3 into this folder right here that is created by who? Do not forget, that is created by Apache, right? This folder right here is created by Apache, and in here, this is exactly where we're heading to. But it's in var, and then this www is in var, and then this HTML is in this www, right? So this folder right here is what we want to put all of these files in, right? And of course, everything as we see here is going to be on that server. Okay. So at the end of the day, just to summarize, we're going to install Apache. When we launch this server, we're going to install Apache, and we're going to navigate to this folder right here to put all of these files in this HTML folder. Moving on, a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind before we go ahead and do the hands-on to launch the server. Guys, for the whole world, right? Imagine these are the customers waiting for you to launch the site. Okay, these are the customers waiting for you to launch the site. Okay, they're waiting for you to launch the site. All right. For security reasons, there is a firewall. Okay, there is a firewall that's gonna block them. Okay, everybody will try to go to your website, and that website will be using HTTPS. Most of you should be familiar with these two protocols, HTTP and HTTPS, right? People need to put this in there, but your browsers recognize to put this. When you type a website, your browser knows to add it. As you can see right here, right? I can see this HTTPS right here. Okay, that means the website is secure. The HTTP means it's not secure. Okay, so people will go to your website through this. This will be added by the browser when they try to navigate to, let's say your website is mywebsite.com. mywebsite.com. Okay, now remember to go to that website is sitting on this machine right here. So you need to go to a setting in your AWS console. You need to go to the let's just call it the firewall service here, okay, for protecting your servers, your EC2 instances. You would go into server and into the security group. Okay, you go into the security group setting, and you will allow. Now think about this, guys. For advanced users, I know this might sound very elementary. Let's just try to carry everyone along. These users from the world, they're coming with a number, right? This number right here, you want to allow this number right on the server. So in the security group, you're going to say allow HTTP. Let me cancel this. You're going to say allow HTTP and HTTPS to this numbers 0.0.0.0.0.0.0. And then for IPv6, there's some other notation, but you don't have to worry about that. The console will put it in there for you. You would understand more when I get into the console, okay? But just get the idea first, okay? Now, another thing I want you guys to keep in mind, okay? Another thing I want you guys to keep in mind is, trying to move this video right here, but it's not aligned me. In 1 second. Come on, PC, what's going on now? Okay, never mind. I can leave that video there. I can see my recording is still going. So, guys, so that's the world. You want to allow, if you want to allow the world to see your website, then you need to open the firewall, the security group, like we said, right? You want to open that to the world. Okay, of course, this is not, the best practice in production environment. You're going to use a load balancer in front. We're going to talk about those in the coming weeks. Let's just load this website on the server for today and see it work. Okay, now for you as the administrator, right, you are going to be installing Apache. You are going to want to do some configurations on this server. How are you going to get inside of this server? You're not just viewing the website. You're doing more than that, right? You need to be the one to install Apache, right? You need to be the one to install Apache and do that configuration and all that. So in the security group as well, you need to allow for yourself, right? You need to, let's say you are the admin. Look at that. You are the admin, right? You need to gain administrative access to the server so you can configure things. Then you as the admin, you need to allow, in the security group, you would allow SSH, right? SSH runs on, and let me just put this here. This HTTP, it'll be port 80, and this one, HTTPS, it'll be 443, right? These are what you need to unlock, right, for the world, right? So they can get to your website. For the administrator, this runs on port 22. So you need to enable port 22 as you're enabling port 80 for HTTP and enabling 443 for HTTPS for the world to view your website. You need to enable this, okay, for yourself so you can configure this server. All right, so enough. We're going to go into the console now and see this in action. Let's go now. And it's when we do this, guys, you're not going to open this to the world. And you guys are wondering, so what's the number of this administrator right here? In companies, this could be a static website for the static IP for the user. But here, for testing purposes, let's say I'm using my laptop. I'm going to choose my IP. When I'm allowing this, I'm going to say my IP. For better security, I'm going to say I want to open this port 22 for only my own IP. And my IP is going to be 19 something or whatever the number is. You guys are going to see in the console, okay? The system will automatically know what your IP is. If you also want to know what your IP is, you can Google it right now. You can say, what's my IP? And it will show you your IP for your computer. So for security reasons, you only want to allow your IP for this machine. You only want to allow your IP for SSH, right? SSH, remote access to this server. Okay, so let me go to the console now. Okay, let me go to the console. All right, guys, moving on. I actually had to stop the video there for something. Had some technical issues here and there, got fixed. So we have about 10 minutes left. Let me go to a whiteboard again, quickly mention something I forgot to mention earlier. When we create this EC2 instance here, right? Remember, we talked about EC2, and then the code is in S3. In AWS, if you have one service A, let's say this is EC2 service, right? And this is another service by AWS. Before this service can talk to this service, you need something called a role. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. This is going to be very big. As you're looking to learn AWS, you need to be able to know. So this role is about giving permissions. When you hear roles, you're talking about giving permissions for one service to do something on another service, okay, or vice versa, right? Now, in this case, we want this EC2 to be able to what? To pull code from this S3. So we're going to give this EC2 a role, okay? We're going to create a role in IAM and add this role to this EC2 instance when we create it. Let's go ahead and create that role now, okay? Just think about it. Make sure you're here in the AWS console. Just think about this. If this service, I'm just using an example now. If this service wants to talk to this service, it needs a role. Just keep that in mind. If this service wants to talk to that service, and look at these are all the services on AWS, right? There's a lot of them, okay? So usually when one service needs to like talk to another service, it usually needs a role, right, to do that. Okay, there's also more to that, but just keep in mind for now, role gives a service A permission to talk to service B. Okay, just keep that general idea in mind. A role gives service A permission to do something in service B. Okay, now let's go to IAM. We have to do this before we go to EC2. Okay, we need to do this. All right, hope you guys are still following. You know, you're doing this hands-on. Remember, the reason for these sessions are for hands-on. So go ahead and click on roles, so you can put those hands-on on your resume. Right? Roles. Okay, now go ahead and create a role. We're gonna say it's for EC2. Yes, we need this role for EC2. Next, permissions. Okay. Now we want, it's loading. Now what we want here is S3, because we want this EC2 to pull code from S3, right? EC2 service talk to S3 service. So we need S3 permission. So we're just gonna choose this one. Amazon S3 full access. We're gonna create this role. So tags, I'm not gonna create tags. Next review, let's give it a name. Let's call it, I already created one before, so I'm gonna call it EC2 S3 role. Okay, I'm gonna add something in front here. I'm gonna add 5, the number 5, just because I have something like this before. I'm just gonna add the number 5, or let me just say new. No, 5. 5. Okay, all right. Allow this instance to call S3. You can change. You don't have to put anything here, but let's just say call S3 on your behalf. Doesn't matter. We can also paste the same thing from role name. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we're getting this policy. Let's go ahead and create role. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now let's go to AWS. Click on AWS on the top left. EC2 S3 role 5. Okay, now let's go to EC2. Let's go to EC2. All right, let's go to EC2. Running instances. Click on running instances. Okay, click on running instances. Now you want to launch that server that we talked about, right? Where you need to put this code in. Now let's go ahead and click on launch instances. Okay. I'm just gonna refresh. That error loading AMID doesn't usually happen, but let's just refresh. Okay, there you go. And yes, AWS now supports Mac OS. Okay, I'm shooting this video. This is the first day that actually they They announced this at reInvent today. So yes, AWS now supports macOS. You can launch macOS on AWS. Cool thing, right? I know. So Linux AMI 2, there used to be AMI 1, but Linux AMI 1 is gone. Now it's just 2. So go ahead and select that first one. Okay, don't get confused. I selected the first one. I'm just going back to show you. Okay, I chose this first one right here, Linux AMI 2. Okay, we're gonna choose the free tier. We're gonna leave it on the free tier. Free tier, yes. Go ahead and configure instance details. I know I'm going a little bit fast, but it's a video, right? That you can always pause and rewind and fast forward if you want. I just don't want. I know this might go a little over an hour. If I add it to the previous video that I had to stop. But anyways. We're not requesting spot instances. We only want one server. Okay, we only want one virtual machine, right? We only want one instance, like we said. Okay, so just one of it. Default VPC, yes. This is a networking construct in AWS. Think of this as a separated network, right? In AWS, where you can launch all of these machines and they can network and talk to each other. Okay, so you get a default VPC usually. So we're going to use that for now. That's fine. Subnet, I would say let's choose 1A here just to keep everything, neat. Let's know that we're choosing 1A here. This subnet is in US, it's 1A. Yeah, it's the default in this region. Okay, it's one of the defaults in this region. There are multiple subnets in here, but we're going to choose 1A. So availability zone 1A. So this means that there are 6 availability zones here. Okay. With EC2, you don't get to have that option whereby it will just put the server in 3 availability zones. No, this is a physical machine this is not a physical machine. It's a virtual machine that you're trying to acquire, right? So you have to determine which AZ you want it in. In this case, let's just choose 1A. As a best practice, it's always recommended that you have this servers in 2 availability zones, but we'll probably discuss those later on, right? You need auto scaling to provide what we call high availability for your applications. But in this case, it's a test application. We don't need to put, it's not a production application that we need to have multiple servers for fault tolerance and redundancy and all those cool terms, high availability. Okay, high availability in this case, right? So it's just a test. We're just gonna use one availability zone. We're gonna get into other concepts later on for high availability, and what this really means is this one server that we're having here, if there's a million people right trying to access your website, it's gonna crash that one server. So that's why it's recommended that you have at least 2 servers, right, spread across 2 availability zones. I hope that makes sense now. Okay, all right. Auto assign IP, yes, we want IPs for that machine. Capacity revision is open. Placement group, don't worry about those. Domain join, no, we're not doing that. Role, very important. If we want this EC2 to pull something from that S3, we need this. Okay, so choose that EC2 S3 role 5. Okay, shutdown behavior, we want to do terminate here for us, right? If we shut down the machine, we want it to actually just terminate. You might not want to do this in real life, but just because this is a test environment, okay? We don't want to enable hibernation or anything like that. Run, yes, on a shared hardware. Yep, hardware shared with other customers, that's fine. But of course, those other customers cannot see our EC2 or use our EC2, okay? That would not be nice, all right? Okay, but there are some industries that choose to use what we call a dedicated host, right? Or dedicated instance, right? Government agencies, there are some requirements sometimes that, you don't want to share that underlying, host with other customers, right? Think of this as the actual physical machine is with AWS, right? And then they're creating virtual machines for every customer on that server. Just as an idea of what that kind of looks like and why you might say, okay, no, we want actually a physical server dedicated to us, and we're going to be launching instance in that server, only us, only our companies. Some companies have that money to do that. If you want to go for dedicated host, based on compliance, regulatory requirements, you can do that. So just leave everything else as default, okay, and then go ahead and click on add storage. For us, 8 gig is fine. Okay, just go ahead and click on next. This is the hard drive that I was telling you guys about, the EBS. Okay, so we're saying 8 gig for think of this as our hard drive for our server. That's fine for this test environment. Go ahead and click on add tags. Let's give this a name actually. Let's call this name. This server will be for our dynamic site. Dynamic site, okay? Name, type name and key, put dynamic site here. Go ahead and click on configure security group. Remember we talked about security groups, right? Firewall, okay. Now let's create a new one, okay? And let's call it public SG, public security group, okay? Meaning the whole world are going to be able to access this website on this machine. We want to allow something that's going to be public on here, okay? Or you can say dynamic website security group, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. So public SG, and then description, I'm just going to use the same thing. Or you can say security group for dynamic applications. Okay, that's fine. Now remember, for the whole, this is now for administrating, for you being doing some administrative work on this computer, right? Now remember when we talked about SSH, right? When you select SSH, it knows what port it needs, right? 22. Okay, and then for this, remember I said for security reasons, go ahead and choose my IP, right? This will auto populate this with your computer's IP, your home computer's IP. Of course, this changes when you reset the router or you restart your computer, okay? So just choose my IP in there, okay? That's what we want for this session for now. And then go ahead and add another rule, because this is going to be a web server for the world to be able to see. Now you're going to choose HTTP. You're going to choose HTTP, and then 80 to the world, yes, okay? Say anywhere here, okay? Choose anywhere. And then for this one, remember the second one is HTTPS, although we're not really using HTTPS in this case. Let's just go ahead and choose it and allow that, okay? And choose here and say anywhere, and go ahead and click on review and launch. Okay, hope all of this makes sense. And then go ahead and launch. Okay, now let's create a new key pair, okay? You need this to be able to, for you as the administrator, right? If you're going to be using PuTTY or Mobaxterm, you need this to get into the machine. You need this to get into the machine. Okay, so create a key pair. It's a key, just like the name sounds, right? Think of it as a key for you to unlock your access to that machine. Although we've allowed at the firewall, at the network level, the security group, right, to allow you from on port 22 from your computer to access on port 22 to access this machine from your computer. So you need this key pair as well for you to use PuTTY or Mobaxterm. And these are remote tools that are used to access remote computers. And remember, this server that we're launching here is a remote computer somewhere, right, in the cloud. So we're going to need this key pair. Let's just call this AWS KP. You can call it anything, right? Let's just call it server key. I'm gonna say web server key, web server key, okay? And we can start using this for all of our web servers. Keep it secret, keep it private. Don't ever share the private key that you're gonna get with anyone, okay? Now you're gonna download the key. Okay, go ahead and download. All right, now it's downloaded the key. What I would suggest here, take this key now, show in folder, take that key and put it in that file, just to keep things organized, right? As you're following these sessions, keep it, no, not in your source code, just put it in the general file, okay? And again, remember, don't worry about this, my files here. This is my own. You guys should have in this file source code examples and this one that we used for the S3 lab not too long ago. So let me see. Let me paste that. It didn't copy. Oh, I didn't copy it. Yeah, show in folder. Where is it again? Control X. I want to copy that to this folder you guys should have. Just paste it here. Yeah, web server key. Okay, minimize that. Now I'm gonna launch. Make sure you download key pair first before you click on launch instances. You need that key to log into this machine. So launch instances. I know it's over 10 minutes, but we're almost done. We're almost done, guys. So the instance is launching. I can just click on here to take me to the console, and it'll be filtered by that instance. So it's going to show me the instance that's running. I only have one, so I can click on close this filter right here. I don't really need that right now. So it's pending. It's launching that virtual machine for you guys. It's launching that virtual machine for you. Okay. Now, you guys, if you remember the first week of the class, I told you to download Mobaxterm. I know some of you like to use PuTTY. I'm not a big PuTTY fan. I prefer Mobaxterm, but there's even something I prefer even more. It's called AWS System Manager, Session Manager. Okay, that's more secure than how you typically log into these machines with Mobaxterm or PuTTY, right? But for now, just something to have on your resume as a tool that you know how to use, Mobaxterm. Okay, Mobaxterm is a tool that we're going to use to what? To remotely access this server right here. Okay, so now you all should have downloaded Mobaxterm. Okay, please make sure you have Mobaxterm. Okay, just Google Mobaxterm. Let me help you guys out here a little bit. Right, Google Mobaxterm. Just Google Mobaxterm. Click on the first link, and then you're gonna go to get Mobaxterm now, and then you're gonna choose download, and then I think there's another page, and then you're gonna choose home edition, install edition. So don't choose portable edition, choose this one, but this should work fine as well, but just use the full one. Okay, use the install edition. Okay, now I'm going to close that. I don't really need that. Okay, where's my Mobaxterm? Here it is. Let me move it. It's in my other screen. Okay, so here it is. Right, here's Mobaxterm. Now we want to remote into that server, but let's go and see first. Is it running? Awesome, it's running. Okay, it's running, but usually, you would want to make sure that this status checks has 2 out of 2. Okay, but for now, still initializing. Let's wait a few minutes, and then we'll try to remote in. Let me see if I can pause the video. And okay, so it took like a minute or two, and there you have it. Okay, now when you click on this, okay, just as an example for now, guys, if your end users, your customers that need to get to your website, right, they need to visit your website, how are they going to do that? Right, you need to give them the address, right, to your web application or to your website. So for now, this is what we need to give them. Okay, this is what we need to give them here. Right, hey, we have the web application up and running, you can visit our website now. This is what you're gonna give them. Okay, and your machine has an IP address, right, for it as well. You can use this, or you can use this to gain remote access. Okay, so remember every computer in the world has an IP. Your computer that's using to watch this video has an IP. This remote server here now also has an IP that you can use to talk to it, right, by remotely accessing it. Right, so now I'm gonna copy that because I need that in Mobaxterm to remote into this machine so I can install Apache and do other stuff that I need to put that website on this computer. Okay, so now I'm gonna open Mobaxterm. I'm gonna say session. I want to start a session. I want to remotely access my virtual machine on AWS. So when I click session here, it brings up this pop-up, and then I'm gonna choose SSH. I want to SSH to what? To this machine on AWS. There's a default user that's already created for you guys, so you're gonna do EC2-user. Okay, make sure you put this in there. Okay, this is a default user that's already created for you on this machine. All right, now go to advanced SSH settings. Go to advanced SSH settings. Click on use private key. You need that key. Click on this icon right here to go and find the key. Remember that key that we downloaded, and we put it in. It's already showing me. If you go to your desktop, you go to that file you should have for this class, and then you should have it in your in your folder right here. For those Mac users, there's a way for you to also see. I'll actually put in the description of this video what you need. I'll recommend for Mac users, actually, leave this downloaded key in your downloads folder, because you would need to be in that if you're gonna need to use the terminal, okay, to be able to do this. For Mac users, you don't need Mobaxterm. You have something called a terminal, right, on your computer, that you can use to access this machine. So I would say leave this key in your downloads folder rather than move it to this folder like we did. only move it to this folder if you know what you're doing on your Mac, okay? Because you would need to know the directory where you put this key in, to then use that to, connect to your instance, if that makes sense. I'm hoping those that use Mac here, they've done this before, they know how that works. But I'll put some snippet in the description of this video to kind of show you what you need to do. But that will work only if you do not bring this key into this file right here. You leave it in the downloads directory, okay? You leave it in the downloads directory. But if you know what you're doing, you move it to another folder, you probably know what to do from there on, okay? So I'm going to select the key. I'm going to click on open, okay? And then I'm going to click on OK. You did it. Now we're inside of the computer, okay? The next thing you need is a set of commands, okay? Let me create a text document. Let me create a text document and paste the command here for you guys, okay? You need this set of commands, okay? Now you're inside of that virtual machine that you created on AWS, okay? But now in order to, put that code that your developers have given you onto this machine, these are kind of the commands that you need. The commands that you need to get that to work. If you know some Linux, some of this will make sense to you. If you don't worry, you have it here. You can have this code and use it as you try to do this on your own in the future, okay? You don't have to memorize everything, please. Just Google stuff, right? Nobody memorizes many of these things. The more you use them, of course, the more you get familiar, okay? So in the real world, don't think, oh, would they expect me to memorize all this? No. Google. Be really good at using Google and using YouTube. I use that a lot, okay? So you have this here. The first command we want to run here is to update the operating system, okay? So I'm just going to click on, you know what? I think I can put them side by side. Let me just put them side by side here, okay? Okay, that's good. Bring this video of me here. All right, now again, don't worry guys, you look in the description, you should have this command right here. I'll put them in there for you guys. So paste it, and then click enter. Okay, it says no packages, that's cool. And don't worry, we're installing other things here. This is because we're installing a LAMP stack, okay? If you know what that is, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. Of course, we don't need PHP and MySQL database now, but just install them, okay? Just go ahead and do that. We're going to need them in the future. All right, so again, I'm just pasting the second code right here. I'm pasting it here, and all of this is found in AWS documentation, okay? I'm going to click on enter. If you Google installing LAMP stack for Amazon Linux 2, you should get something similar to all this, because I have just removed all of the actual command that we need. Okay, so that's done. All right, now we can just type clear here. We can just type clear just to give us a new fresh screen. And then the third thing here is the second thing we did here was there were some extra packages we needed to install. Don't worry about what those are. Just do all of this to get this to work. So Control-C this third command, put it in here, paste. This is going to install Apache and mariadb-server. We don't really need this, but again, guys, it doesn't hurt. Just leave it there, okay? Now, if you're installing Apache, this is exactly what's needed to install Apache, okay, on your Linux machine. All right, and this installs a mariadb-server. Click on enter. MariaDB database, I said server. So that's working. Okay, complete. All right, awesome. Okay, now the next thing here is we need to start the Apache service. Okay, go ahead and paste that in there. Okay, nothing happens. That means it worked. The next thing is enable. Okay, we need to enable it. And also this helps with, if for some reason you started a server, this would make sure it's running. Okay, so click that, and then you guys might get something else, but it shows me this, but that no error message, but that means that worked as well. Now, and the next one is this one. Let's see if it's enabled. Okay. Let's see if it's enabled. Yes, it is enabled. Awesome. Okay, now the last thing here, this is important, guys. This command will copy the entire code that we have in that bucket, right, for this dynamic website, and it will copy. We specify the region it's in. Okay, US is one of them, Virginia, and then would say we'll want to put it in this folder on this computer. This folder, this directory right here, was created for you by Apache. Remember, we talked about that in the whiteboarding session. So this is on your computer, but this is on AWS S3. But now we need to change this because this is not the name of our bucket where we put the dynamic website files. So let me go now, okay, back to AWS, back to my AWS console. I want to go back to S3 and get the actual name where we put the code that we want to put on this server. Okay, remember the dynamic website, the code for the dynamic website. Let's go now and go back to that bucket and get the name. What is the name? Here it is. Here's the name we need. Copy that. Okay, copy that. Go to the file. Change this, right, to the name of your bucket. Okay, and then now I think we're good. Okay, now copy this code right here. Copy this code right here. Control C that. And then where was I? Mobaxterm. Here. Let's clear to get a clear screen again. Clear screen. And then paste that code. Where's my paste? Paste. Okay. So paste. So any error messages? Download. So it means it worked. And why did it work? Because of the role. Remember the role we talked about? We gave it this machine that role to be able to talk to S3, have full permission to S3 to be able to copy from S3. So if you did not add that rule to this machine, that's not gonna work. Okay. So now, guys, now that we've put this code in this folder right here on this computer, you can confirm that by doing this. CD. We're going to that folder to actually see if it's there. Okay. If you type it, hit enter and then type ls. If you know Linux, so yes. So all of these files that our developers gave us that will make up this website is now in this HTML folder. It's now in this HTML folder here. So now, guys, fingers crossed. Let's go see if we have a website that's running on EC2, guys. Let's go see. We're going to EC2. Remember that link I told you that you need to give your end users if they want to look at the website that you've now put up online for everyone. So we can just click on instances here or click on it in that screen that just showed. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. Okay, I know this 2 topics for today has been over an hour, but I'm hoping this will be beneficial for all of you. Okay, so now I'm just going to check the box on that server and I'm going to click on this. Okay, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to copy. I can also just do this to copy it. I can just do that to copy it. And I'm just going to open a new tab and I'm going to paste. Okay. Wow, guys. Wow. Awesome job. I hope you were able to, get this done and it worked for you guys. Great job. Great job. Great job. One thing I'm always big on is, as you try to follow me and follow my recommendations, as a mentor or something like that, always be honest on your resume, right? Now you can actually say that you've done some hands-on, you've taken the code, a web application, source code, you launch a server and you put it on the server and you're able to access that, website. That means end users, your customers can go to this address and they will see that website that is running on this EC2 machine right here. So great job, guys. We're assuming this is a dynamic website that we now have on this machine. Information about these sessions I'm going to put in the link to this video. I hope you guys are enjoying. I hope you guys are able to follow and do this hands-on, and put them on your resume, and just try to follow my work, and all I'm doing with this. And you can land really great jobs, right? You can land really great jobs, by knowing how to do these things. Should I say housekeeping item? Read this resume. If you're new to the IT field, please read this resume. Before you go, guys, before you end this video, the link to the Sunday sessions is going to change from Google Meet to Zoom. I'm going to, at some point before next Saturday, before next Sunday session. When is the Sunday session? Before my next Sunday session, I'm going to put the link. When is that? Sunday, 6th December. Okay, before that session, I'm going to put the link in the description of this video for the new link for the new meeting link. Again, it's going to change from Google Meet to Zoom. It's going to change from Google Meet to Zoom. Okay, so watch out for that. I'm not going to be using the previous Google Meet link for these sessions anymore. I highly recommend you join me live on Sundays for us to do this together. If you're not able to, the recordings are going to be on YouTube for you to join and watch as well. Please make sure to share. Again, as I was saying, this article is a must read. If you're coming from other majors, other fields, you want to go into IT, cloud computing, because it's big, it's what everyone is doing now. You want to learn it. You're someone who's determined. You set your mind to something, you can do it. This article is what I'm recommending you to read. Read it. Everything you need to know, every resources you need to, take it as a roadmap, a guideline, right, for you to use as you start to look into learning AWS. Okay. Now with that said, the link to this article will be in the description. At the end of the day, guys, you're new to IT, you're already in IT. I created this template resume for you guys. Okay. These sessions, joining these sessions and also using some of the resources that I shared in my article will make you get to this state where you can comfortably say, without lying, okay, as people that I mentor in my community, I teach and mentor in my community, and for you guys out here, taking advantage of these sessions, one thing I'm always big on is, don't put false information on your resume, if you know what I mean. Okay, just be honest, be sincere, be truthful, and the best things will happen to you. Okay, the best things will come your way. Okay, so for all of this here, if you're wondering how can you gain the skills for all of this, it's in this. I've put the resources you need in here. Okay. One of the biggest part of it now is joining this Sunday session that I've just started, so you can, learn some actually do some hands-on, right? And be able to understand better, right, some of these things. Okay. So read that article, it'll give you the resources you need to do all of this and be able to list all of these skills on your resume. So I'm going to end the video now. Thank you guys. Share this video. Join me on Sundays. Read the article. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Watch out for that new information for the meeting on Sundays, for this 1 hour sessions on Sundays. It's going to change from Google Meet. Let me stop talking. Thank you guys. I'll see you next Sunday for the 1 hour hands-on training session. All right, thanks. Take care, guys. Bye.